Opinel número 12. Yummy. Oh, that's right. We're talking about the knife. Oh, where's all this goofy stuff? Well, took it out. Because if we turn on the little scaly scale here, 4.5 ounces with the optional accessories, 5.6. So 1.1 ounces saved by running this knife naked. Or you can run this guy 5 ounces flat. He's just a little half ouncer. He just sits in here on a friction lock just like he would if he was holding the cutting hook in. Cutting hook is 0.6 ounces, so he's pretty heavy, obviously. Thicker than the blade by a good 1/2 mil or so. It's a heavy duty little dude. You can use him by himself, stick him in your pocket if you're just fishing or something, and use him to cut some fishing line or some rope or something. But you can run the knife with just the blade, with just the blade and the fire rod, and that'll hold. That won't go anywhere. You push them in nice and hard. Will not pop out unless you want them to come out, or if you just happen to catch that little. There's a tiny little protrudes just a little. I mean, not even 1/2 millimeter, or about 1/2 millimeter. And so if you caught him on something as you were pulling it, yeah, he'll come out, but that's highly unlikely. Wouldn't even worry about it. Without the cutting hook, you now have your classic Opinel shape. You still have the extra length, but I've noticed that seems to add some stability, some balance to the blade, especially with the rod in there. It just feels like the balance point is it's right about there, which is right about where your finger would be if you're just cutting something kind of on the heavy duty side. And then if you need to go do some fine work, well, do it, you know. You're fine. And if you really want to chop something, hold it back here and whack it. You'll be all right, at least if it's green and live and soft. Don't be whacking hardwood with it. But I like how the long handle gives you versatility, you know, over the similarly sized, or I should say same size blade number 10 in regular beechwood handle, which would end, you know, right there. So it's got about 3/4 of an inch extra length here over the 10 in handle and overall length. But like I said, I like how that adds balance even without the rod, without the fire rod. You still have that extra weight way back here. It gives you a little more balance. I notice with the Opinels, that beechwood being so light, that knife just wants to tip towards the blade constantly. You know, so you got to make sure you have a good hold on it, and you know. But with especially with the rod in here, I noticed you can just let it sit in your hand, like with most knives, and you know it won't want to tip out of your hand and fall constantly. Boom. So run it without the cutting hook for your typical in the pocket carry, or in a sheath or something, and you lose weight, you lose that awkward thing hanging out of there, and now you have an extra tool to carry in your wallet or on a keychain, and you can still sharpen a pencil or cut a rope or something. And speaking of sharpening pencils, say you are carrying the whole gizmo like you're camping or something. So I'm doing that wrong, aren't I? So there's the factory way of doing it, and you have to use the fire rod to hold it in place. Flip it over, you know, 180. Stick them in. I'll leave my blade out because it's dirty. And push them in there. You'll get some good friction lock. Gotta make sure I don't gack myself. And hey, now you're sharpening tent pegs, tent stakes, sharpening a pencil, or whittling, maybe even some sort of feathering or something. Beautiful. You're done. Pop him out, flip him back over, stick him in, lock it in. Of course, you have to kind of jockey this around. I think you move it over, that comes down, then move it back, and it goes all the way down. And there you are. And I've thought about this end being used as like a hammer or something, and it would be fine for some light, maybe some nut cracking or something, breaking something up. But you got to remember, when you're whacking on this, whack, 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 the only thing keeping you in there is these two plastic tabs. That one's not even an eighth, and that one's a little bit bigger, but it's these little plastic tabs sitting in here, in these slots. That's the only thing that's holding this guy in. So when you're whacking on them, just remember that. It'll take some decent whacking, but if you think you're going to use it like a hammer constantly, those plastic nubs are going to break right off at some point, and your doodad's going to go flying, and then he's going to fly out, and now you got to go buy a new rod for about $10. But there she is, beautiful Sandvik 12C27, I think, off the top of my head, stainless steel blade. Nice. Everything just feels good from the factory. Really tight. She'll loosen up. She's pretty new. The end. Bye bye.